Okay, hello everybody. Um, this is welcome to another of my retrospective videos. I'm at Mac Knight or Sir Tomiyuki because I'm a night pilot, so that's why I'm in my night pilot PNG two avatar today. Anyway, today we're gonna do the giant robots, which is Titans. Um, and we're gonna look into the history of Titan legions, known collectively as the Collegia Titanica. I've been doing about knights, I've been doing about the Mechanicum, I did I think a video on Demon Knights or Chaos Knights as they are known now. And I thought, we gotta do the giant robots today, the Titan in the room, so to speak. So so today that's what we're gonna do. The Titan Legions, known collectively as the Collegia Titanica, and as well as being one of the great trinity of the Mechanicum, the Triad Magna. The Collegia Titanica is an organization that operated separate military traditions from either the Skitarii legions and the Tagmata of Nizaya. Before we go into detail about the modern version of the Collegia Titanica, which has been fleshed out over the 3.5 decades since its first inception, we're gonna take a trip down memory lane to see the earliest incarnation of the Titan Legions. But before we do that, I'm gonna, as usual, point you towards my blog because, as I always say, I'm a blogger first and foremost. That's my primary role. I guess I won't call it a job because obviously it's not a job. I don't earn any money from this. No one's gonna pay me for this. So yeah. So you want to read instead of watch a video? You can go to my blog. The link is right up there. You can see that over there. I can't put it on YouTube because apparently I'm not the proper YouTuber, so I'm not allowed to post links in my videos description because I guess they don't want spam or something. Anyway, if you prefer reading, that's my blog article. So have fun. For now though, as I said, we're going to go down memory lane and do a history of the knights. So, excuse me. Anyway, the Titan Legions first appeared in the 1988 game Adeptus Titanicus, as you can see over there in the screen. And I'm sure you all know by now the old story. How they have to justify two identical armies fighting each other. Therefore, Games Workshop came up with an in-universe reason. Thus, the Horus Heresy was born, a civil war that tore the Imperium into two. And that basically was the backstory that explained why you had two identical forces fighting against each other. It helped to keep costs down so that you could just sell the same sprue twice or something. As you will see below, the sprues were kind of divided into red and blue, so that two players can use them. Well, I say below, I mean um in the next slide. Sorry. Anyway, each box had about 12 Warlord Titans and 8 Styrofoam buildings, I think. I'm not sure. I think they built a Styrofoam. 1988, I was born in 1988, so yeah, I'm that old. So, but unfortunately, not old enough to have actually played the game. Yeah. Anyway, in addition to the 12 Warlord Titans and 8 Styrofoam buildings, you also had a bunch of cards that serve as data cheats or something. Unfortunately, as I said, I'm not old enough to own one, so I'm not very familiar with the contents. All I know about is you know, what I read off the internet and what I can do based off my research. I know some of you will be asking why the hell am I doing a video on this instead of just directing others to the many already existing Warhammer lore of history videos, but well, I'm a literature and history graduate student, so well, not exactly history. I have a history. My history is my minor, but it's kind of my hobby and it fulfills my intellectual interest. So hoping to compile whatever history and lore I can, so that it's easier for new fans or even old fans to read and catch up. Unfortunately for us, the lore in 1988 was pretty bare bones during this period. So yeah, I was born like many months before the game was released in December 1988. So as I said, I'm old but not that old. And while there were a few passages here and there were many concrete details and characters. Instead of Space Marine legions, you still had chapters, and the Eldar were actually fighting alongside the Loyalists against Chaos during the Heresy. So yeah, really, those were really, really wild times. Yeah. Eldar, like I don't know how I mean, this is like I don't know whether they had a xenophobia thing because you know how Warhammer 40,000 is supposed to be a satire of Margaret Thatcher's Great Britain during that time. So, uh, I guess you had this really fascist regime that's very xenophobic, but Eldar still fight against alongside their loyalists against Chaos. So it's kind of I don't know how that worked. Like I said, I wasn't born then. Anyway, the only Titans that existed in the first edition were the Warlord Titans, and as you can see right in that picture in the background, they were the most common class of Titan. And I love the fluff. I don't think you can make out the words here because um, I gotta blur them for copyright stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I'll just read out to you. So basically, you have this chaplain who's going, "Look, my brothers, heresy!" And then he gets his chaps to shoot at the Titan with bolters. Good luck with that. The bolt rounds obviously did nothing against the white shells, and I doubt they would even have left a mark on the 2-up armor save because even if the white shells were somehow down. So yeah, yeah, even if you roll 6 on a wound roll, it's not going to do anything. And if you're playing the new Legion Imperialis game, bolters are light weapons, so they do absolutely F4 against armor. So anyway, the Warlock Titan then casually melted the poor Marines with a couple of salvos from his last cannon. Yeah, I guess Warlock Titans back then had less cannon, so yeah. You gotta love the old fluff though. It's cheesy yet so fun to read. Already you see the mention of the fire warps who would become a mainstay in the Titan lore, and they would become one of the tried Ferrum Mogulus, which I have no idea what that is in Latin. I'm pretty sure Ferrum means iron in Latin, so I guess one of the 3 great iron giants or something. I don't know. And they receive an official name called Legio Ignatum. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. Before I get into the updated lore about Legio Ignatum and the triad Ferrum Mogulus, I'd like to direct your attention to the Warlock variants, many of which would be referred to in future Black Library novels. There are 4 variants of the Warlock class Battle Titan. So the first is the melee-orientated Knight Gauns, who are supposedly the fastest and most maneuverable. They usually spot 2 melee weapons or at least one pad with short range weaponry, like I guess Vulcan Mega Bolters maybe, but I don't think you have an unmounted Vulcan Mega Bolter. Then you have the Nemesis, which is the range variant that fulfills an artillery role. It's less maneuverable, but he's protected by white shells and bristling with many weapons mounted on numerous hardpoints. They're normally equipped with quick cannons, volcano cannons, apocalypse missile launchers, plasma destructors, and inferno guns. Oh, well, yeah, that's weird, but I guess it counts. I don't know. Then you have the Eclipse, which is somewhere in between, possessing heavy firepower but is light enough to make swift maneuvers. Just above the Riven Titan, apparently, and more resilient. It's usually equipped with volcano cannons, macro Gatling blasters, and apocalypse missile launchers. The fourth and final class is the Deathbringer, which is also somewhere in between and the most common configuration. Basically, the majority of what you see in modern Adeptus Titanicus games or lore today are the Deathbringers Warlock Titans. And you can equip them with whatever you like, whether it's Plasma Destructors, or Volcano Cannons, or Turbo Laser Destructors. Yeah, they are carapace weapons if you're talking about, or armored weapons. But before we get to the modern, it's kind of, I wouldn't say important, but it's kind of interesting to note that back in 1988, they have less cannons and plasma cannons for some reason. Because I guess they haven't developed the lore and the world building that far ahead that time, so they're just using the most common configurations of Imperial weapons. So less cannons and plasma cannons. Anyway, you'll see these variants occasionally mentioned in the Black Library novels, such as the Night Gaunts and the Nemesis, but they appear to be more defined by the type of weaponry they carry more than any different class. The thing is that the Warlock Titan, as you can see in the sprue or in the box art, it has 4 modular hardpoints, so you can add 4 different weapons and mix and match however you like, as long as you had up to 4. So yeah, the carapace weapons. Now, the carapace weapons, the shoulder weapons, they are paired, so you can't mix 4 different weapons. You have to mix 3 different weapons. But the arms, you can do whatever you want for the arms. You can pair the arms however you want. Next would be the Warhound and River Titans, which were added later in the following month, January 1988. It's 1989, sorry. Well, I made a mistake there. Sorry about that. And this was an issue, White Dwarf issue 109. Apparently back then you got models by buying White Dwarf magazines and they came like, in today's Imperial magazines, if you guys are familiar with the Imperial magazines. So basically, both the old White Dwarf magazines and today's Imperial magazines, when you buy a copy, they come with like 1 or 2 plastic models. Well, back then I don't know if it's plastic. I think maybe sometimes it's fine cast or metal or pewter models. So depending on what model you get for that issue during that time. Now you get plastic models, so it's pretty cool. So anyway, remember when I said the Warlock Titan had 4 modular hardpoints? Well, the Reaver has 3. It's a smaller class Titan, so it's supposed to be a bit cheaper, I guess, in terms of points. The Reaver class Battle Titan is slightly smaller than the Warlock Titan and has weapons on its arms and a single carapace mount. That's in contrast to the Warlock Titan, which has 2 carapace mounts. Now you have to do pet weapons for the carapace mounts for the Warlock Titans, but I don't think the River Titans are affected much in the new rules. As for the Warhound Scout Titan, it only has two weapon hardpoints and no carapace mounted weapons. However, it is a lot faster than the other variants, whether it's the River Titan or the Warlock Titan. So in lieu of firepower and resilience or durability, the Warhound Titan is like pretty fast. Basically, they rely on their speed to both survive and fight. Basically, hit and run. So as for Scout Titans, they are mainly used for reconnaissance missions as well as lightning raids behind enemy lines. They are apparently the most common Scout Titans used by the Imperial forces, but given that they do not have any other Scout Titan classes, well, until the arrival of the Direwolf Heavy Scout Titan, and apparently we also have Rapier class Titans, but other than brief mentions in the lore and Black Library novels, I haven't actually seen any concrete models for the Rapier class Titans. So it's kind of weird. So I don't know what happened to the Rapier. Anyway, these are the little warhounds. You gotta love these little guys. They look kind of it looks like Mickey Mouse actually now that I look at him. Anyway, in that same issue, they decide to add land raiders into Adeptus Titanicus. Like I said, those were really well timed. So it's kind of like how Legion Imperialis is today with all the little land raiders running around next to the Titans. So yeah, it's really I don't know how to say it. It was a fun time to live in. This it's a kind of pity. I was like what I was just an infant back then, so I didn't get to see what's going on. But yeah, so like I said, land raiders, titans, both the warhound and the river, and I think that you can see the warlock titans in that in the background. Oh yeah, and you'll notice that the name Paramount, sorry, not Paramount. This is not Paramount Pictures. So anyway, Paramount 5 is name dropped in the illustration, as you can see. If you can make out the words, I don't think maybe you can make out the words, but basically it says there, right at the top left corner, assault on Paramount 5. Sorry, Paramount 5. And the world, as well as the Paramount system, would be expanded upon in Horus Heresy Book 3 Extermination, which is released in May 2014, about 25 years after this photograph was done in the January 1998 White Dwarf issue 109. Also, back then, you already have a very famous Titan Legions show. You can see right here. Adding to the fire warps, you have the Imperial Hunters or Legio Solaria, the Warp Runners, which is Legio Astorum, and the Tiger Eyes, Legio Furians. And they are all on display here, I believe. So yeah, this is more pictures. Yeah, these are I guess bigger illustrations showcasing the respective titans. As I said, the ones in white or yellow is Legio Solaria, known as the Imperial Hunters. The blue with fire motifs seem to be about I think uh, the Warp Runners, I believe. They call them Order back then. I think it's now called Legios, but yeah, the Warp Runners. Warp Runners are basically Legio Astorum, for those of you who prefer the Latin name. And then the yellow ones below are Tiger Eyes Traitor Order, as they said. I mean, Legio Furians, basically. By the way, this is also the same issue that added Imperial Guard as an army for the larger 28mm scale game. That's not very relevant here, so I'll talk about Imperial Guard in another article if you guys want me to do on the Imperial Guard, but I doubt it. Anyway, the next class of Titan will be added in a new edition of the game, a standalone or addition to the Space Marine game that had taken the place of Adeptus Titanicus. Basically, we now call it Epic. As you can see that, it's really epic. So, Epic Titan Legions, gigantic war machines clash in epic conflict. So they really like to emphasize the epic word, so yeah. Anyway, Epic Titan Legions would see the addition of the biggest ever Titan class, the Imperator Titan. Imperator? I'm sorry, I'm not British. I'm not. I mean, I would like to say I'm American, but I'm not exactly American. Well, I'm not a citizen anyway, even though I live in America. But yeah. So Imperator Titan. He was pitted against two Mega Gargants, but unfortunately we also have our 10 Imperial Knights, mostly Paladin class, dueling against 12 Orc Bonebreaker tanks. Because back then we don't have Mockanauts, we do not have Gorkanauts, nor do we have Stompars. So instead, my knights are gonna fight against Orc Bonebreaker tanks, tanks that break bones. Yeah, you know how orcs are. Their names are really on the nose. Unfortunately, both the Imperator Titan and the Mega Gargants were phased out of the game. I think a few years later, which is kind of sad. So yeah, this is really sad. Anyway, if you remember my retrospective on Imperial Knights, you will recall that Knights have always been part of the lore of Forged Wolves and Titan Legions, assigned to serve their Titans, basically. So the Knight banners in the 2018 Adeptus Titanicus game are not the new thing. If anything, it's a return to form. So as you can see, Knight banners fighting alongside Warlock Titans. So it's pretty much a replication of epic Titan Legions. So you just replace the Imperator Titans and Mega Gargants with the Warlock Titans, and it might suck that we only get 6 Questoris Knights instead of 10, plus the 12 Bonebreaker tanks, which are obviously missing here. But oh yeah, and don't forget about inflation because this is 2018. So yeah, plastic has gone a long way, I suppose. Though, yeah, the only thing that I don't like about the current plastics kits is the inflated prices. So, but that is neither here nor there. Anyway, despite what purists argue that Titanica should only be a game for Titans and that we should leave the Knights out of it, and then some people complaining about it is being Adeptus Knighticus or Knighthanicus or people like to whine about it sometimes. But yeah, I can see the argument for it, but I don't think it's an issue, especially it could be because I'm biased as a knight guy. Look at me, I'm a knight scion, so yeah. Uh, but aside from the very first edition, the moment knights were added to the game in 1990, there's no going back. They're here to stay. Knights have always been part of the Adeptus Titanicus game. They're always fighting alongside Titan legions. It makes no sense to keep them out of the game. And yeah, oh yeah, and there's also a bunch of other cool artwork that includes a battle between the Ultramarines and Thousand Suns fighting at the feet of Titans, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that yeah, you can see the Thousand Suns over there. That's pretty cool. And they're wearing the old Biki helmets, and they have the old art style. And then you even have this cool concept art of a so-called quotation marks Warlock Titan that ends up being the inspiration for the modern Warmaster Titan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can see the inspiration similarities. So yeah, uh, this is supposed to be a Warlock Titan, and you can see the tech priest at the feet down there, but you can see that it looks very different from the normal modern Warlock Titan that we see today. And I will say why later. So because when we actually see you'll see the similarities between that and the War Master basically when I introduce the War Master later. Jazz Goodwin also drew sketches of River Titans, one for Loyalists and the other for Chaos. So yeah, I guess you can tell which is for which. The Chaos one is the one with the weird spikes and the uh what do you call that circle thing? You know, that satanic symbol. I can't remember what it's called. Oh my gosh, I should know this, but I for some reason hexagram? No, not hexagram. Pentagram. Yeah, the pentagram. So you can see that the spikes pentagrams. That's very chaosy. I believe this is around this time when this is also the same time when Codex Titanicus arrived as a supplement for Adeptus Titanicus in 1989. So yeah, 1989, which provided more background, and this was also when the War Griffins, sorry, War Griffins, who is otherwise known as Legio Gryphonicus for those of you who prefer the Latin name, and yeah, they became the poster boys for Adeptus Titanicus. This is why you also see them in the cover of the 2018 Adeptus Titanicus game alongside the evil Legio Mortis. Why Legio Gryphonicus and not Legio Ignatum, I have no idea, but it could stem from them being the main Titan Legion in Codex Titanicus. So yeah. Interestingly enough, instead of Titan Legion here, they are called Order of Titans and referred to as Orders instead of Legio or Legions. Apparently, they are nominally under the Divisio. I hate this pseudo Latin thing. Divisio Militaris back then, but obviously they are directly under the Adeptus Mechanicus or Mechanicum during the Horus Heresy and separate from the Divisio Militaris or Exertus Imperialis or Adeptus Terra. It's a term that is sometimes still being used, which you'll see later, I guess. And then we have references to what is now known as the Secretary today. I'll expand on the Secretary later, but back in 1989, they were referred to as Scutari instead, levied from the Orders Fortune and follow the normal Imperial Guard structures. The Scutari actually still exists, which I will actually elaborate on later in the video, but yeah. Anyway, these Skutari also have access to Rhinos and Land Raiders because the Imperial Guard of 1989 used Space Marine vehicles at that time, and we didn't have Chimeras yet. We didn't have what's that called? Dracosons. Dracosons armored transports or Aurochs transports. We didn't have Taurochs. So we had to use the same Space Marine armored transports, which are like rhinos and land raiders. These will later show up in, I guess, one of the prominences for Imperial militia, where you have Dark Age of the Technology, survivors of the Dark Age of Technology running around in rhinos and land raiders, because that's is a reference to this late 1980s, early 1990s era, where the Imperial Guard basically used Space Marine vehicles rather than having their own chimeras or, I guess, Dracoson's transports. So yeah, this so well, the thing is that you can only take them as dedicated transports for Grenadier troops, so it's kind of fun. But yeah, that's why I like doing these history videos. You will see all these connections and callbacks to the past. This all changed when Alan Blight and the Forge World team took over and solidified the details for the Horus Heresy game after 2012. So yeah, so in 2012, I guess no, not 2012, sorry. 2012 was the first book, I guess. Massacre, I guess? No, Betrayal, sorry. Book 1, Betrayal, was released in 2012. In May 2015, though, that's the date I was looking for, Horus Heresy Book 5 Conquest was released. Though Titans had always been part of the game, with Legio Artaras the Firebrands given an entire section in Horus Heresy Book 2 Massacre, and Legio Mortis in Horus Heresy Book 1 Betrayal. Yeah, that's probably why I was thinking of 2012, as well as numerous mentions throughout the Black Library novels, both in the 31st millennium and the 41st. Conquest was the one where we really flesh out the Titan legions in the broader perspective. At the same time, resin models for Titans were released for the Horus Heresy game. Well, we had older patterns that were much larger versions of the epic scale ones, I believe. I think they were made by Armorcast, which was a separate company that used to make models, such as the Titans, like I said, Armorcast Titans, the Warhound Titans, I'm not sure if they did Warlock Titans, but they also did the Mega Gargants, if I'm not mistaken. And they also used to do the super heavy tanks, so like the Baneblade, before the Baneblade was kind of turned into a plastic kit by Games Workshop. So they used to do that, but they were discontinued when Games Workshop and Forge World took over to do all this, plastic Baneblade, plastic Stomper, I believe, for, I guess, Armageddon or something, the Apocalypse game. Apocalypse, that's right. That was the thing I was thinking. Apocalypse games, and the rest in Warlock Titans. I meant Titans in general, not just the Warlock Titan. So the law for the Collegia Titanica, in the Adeptus Titanicus game, the current edition was first released and published in 2018. So yeah, that was when the Grandmaster box set that I showed earlier was released, and that was just amazing. I wish they still have that, but I don't know what to say. Now they have I guess a more beginner friendly kit, which I guess makes sense. You would rather have the I guess start out the game with a couple of Warhounds and a couple of Reavers and Knight Lancers than two Warlock Titans and six Questoris Knights. So yeah, I get yeah. Even if you want to split, I guess splitting it in terms of River Titans and Warhound Titans makes more sense than trying to do just two Warlock Titans. So yeah, at least that way you get a whole maniple rather than random two Warlock Titans that don't really fit in any maniple list. So the law from the the law for the Collegia Titanica and the Titanicus game was largely taken from the Horus Heresy Black Books back in 2012 to 2015, with new additions over the years, mostly of new Titan classes. They also released campaign books that were largely based on already existing events mentioned in the lore, such as the Betrayal at Calf, which was also covered in the Black Books. I think also White Dwarf, and even No Fear by Dan Adnut, which is a Horus Heresy novel, and Betrayal by Aaron Dembski Bonan, and this is about the Shadow Crusade basically. So the Betrayal of Calf, the Shadow Crusade, these were events that were fleshed out in, I guess, Shadow and Iron. I think that's the campaign book. So yeah, that's referring to the events in both, I think, Conquest and No Fear and Betrayal. I think White Dwarf articles as well. And then you also have the Doom of Molech. So if you remember, I think a couple of videos ago I did on Demon Knights, right? So the Gave Top wrote the White Dwarf article about the Doom of Molech and how House Devin betrayed the loyalist Imperial forces and destroyed the Paragon of Terror, which was an amazing Imperator Titan. So yeah, that was also brought back in the for Adeptus Titanicus lore and fleshed out in, I guess, the campaign book Doom of Molech. And I think we also have a novel written by Graham McNeil called The Vengeful Spirit, or just Vengeful Spirit as well. However, they also had new additions that sometimes retcon but mostly built upon the existing lore to justify stuff, such as the Titan death at Beta Garment. So Guy Haley wrote a book called Titan Death. He's an amazing author. Basically, this book was supposed to, as well as the Titan Death campaign book, was supposed to explain why the hell there aren't as many Titans in the 41st millennium as the 31st. You can read the details in the Adeptus Titanica supplement, which was published in January 2019, or Guy Haley's Horus Heresy novel, which was published in December 2018. So yeah, that's an interesting point about Guy Haley. It was kind of funny. If I'm not mistaken, in one of his interviews, he actually mentioned that he's the author when you need a Black Library novel list to, rush out a novel for that accompanies, I guess, models or game systems. So at that time, Adeptus Titanicus was still pretty new, and they were trying to rush out this Titan Death campaign supplement. And like, okay, we also need, since this is taking place in the Horus Heresy, we need a novel about it. We need the Black Library novel about it in the Horus Heresy series. So unfortunately, the book, I think the Titan Death campaign supplement was due to be released in a few months, and we were like, oh, who's gonna write this book? Oh, of course, Guy Haley, because he's the one of the most reliable and I guess fastest writers. And he was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, and he did it. Titan Death was basically about, I think, Legio Solaria being most the main characters, and I think House V Procon, which is like the kind of the subordinate knight house to Legio Solaria. It's a very interesting book. So yeah, I kind of like it, except for the whole Sanguinius screaming "I shall not die today," which I found a bit cheesy. But other than that, I did enjoy the book. So yeah. In addition to Titan Death, you also have the Defense of Ryza, which, is maybe to explain what a prominent Forge like Ryza was doing during the Horus Heresy and expand on its lore. And I think the Crucible of Retribution is also a fairly new addition, so something that wasn't actually mentioned before in the White Dwarf articles or, prior lore, which actually explored the conflict in the Battle Iron. It included the Urdash, a Forge role that then Abner created for his Sabbath's World Crusade or, Gon's Go series, because Urdash, I think the first mention of Urdash was in Guns of Tanith in 2002, before it was referenced in the Imperial Armor Volume 1 published in 2003. Prior to that, nobody knew what Urdash was, so yeah. So it was kind of weird. So I guess uh, they wanted to, how do I put it? They wanted to put a dash in the, I guess, in the Horus Heresy map or something. So to connect existing fluff. That's the term I was trying to look for, the terminology. So they wanted to connect existing fluff to the wider lore. So Urdash became part of this uh Iron Belt thing, and became part of this Crucible of Retribution, where a bunch of Forge Worlds basically had this civil war before the Dark Angels came. So yeah, and now I think I'm going to move on to the modernized Titan lore, and as you can see, the Titans look awesome. I think that's Legio Pegasus, which was like the loyalist Titan Legion fighting on Calf alongside the Ultramarines when the Word Bearers and their, I think, uh, allied titans basically allied titan legions basically betrayed the loyalists and destroyed Calf basically. Yeah, and they have a really cool quote there, as you can see. And in that time the great beasts shall walk the earth. Beneath their tread shall cities become as dust. By their burning breath shall civilizations be as ash. And so the end of days is begun. Apocryphal terror. I'm pretty sure that's from Revelation. So yeah, but uh, I'm not a devout Christian, so I could be wrong. Anyway, the Collegia Titanica is one of the most ancient pillars of the Mechanicum, the god engines having served humanity since before the Dark Age of Strife, presumably created during the Dark Age of Technology. The legions were established first on Mars during the Anarchy of Oonite as the fabled Triad Ferrum Mogulus, as I said, the Latin for the three iron giants or something. Not sure what Mogulus is, but yeah. If someone can tell me what Mogulus is in the comment section below, though I doubt it, because I don't think I've heard any uh apparently it means all men must die. Sorry, someone just told me. So basically the three iron all men must die. That's kind of funny. Well, I mean, mod means death, so I guess that's what the in Mogulus is. I saw Mogulus means all men must die. Anyway, the triad Ferrum Mogulus consisted of the Legio Tempestus, the Legio Mortis, and the Legio Ignatum. The arrivals who protected Mars from the horrors of O-Night, ranging from ravening Xenos to sentient AI. The Titans first appeared during a great and terrible war waged between the nascent Mechanicum's forges and the debased caste of Kabbalistic heretics known as the Psi Carnivora. Grouped into three entire orders, who would be known as the Triad Modulus, they defeated the Psi Carnivora Magrites and their monstrous hunger engines. Apparently, they also refer to this time as the era of pathogenesis, whatever that is. After the Emperor united Terra and signed a treaty on Olympus Mons, much of their independence and with the Mechanicum retaining much of their independence and autonomy, the Titan legions were dispatched alongside the Legiones Astartes, Sola Auxilia, and Exustus Imperialis in the Great Crusade. The Titan orders, and they still use the orders here, which is the what I was talking about earlier. So yeah, the somehow the orders from the old lore made it back to the new lore, so the modern lore. So like I said, you will always see all these little connections here and there. The Titan orders encountered forge worlds and similar technocracies, bringing them back to the fourth Imperium and the Mechanicum. Many of the newly discovered forge worlds host their own Titan legions, each developing their own unique cultures or organizing similarly to the Triad Mogulus. Lesser forge worlds who didn't have their own Titan orders were given the necessary templates, resources, or expertise to construct and operate their own, with Mars obviously prioritizing those who saw fealty. So yeah, several decades after the Great Crusade, when the Mechanicum had discovered or founded a lot of new Titan orders, by this point there were like dozens of Titan orders marching to war for the Great Crusade. They codified and standardized them, though obviously there was a degree of individuality and autonomy allowed. The Fabricator General declared that the many Titan orders should be recognized as a distinct organization within the greater body of the Mechanicum, and thus were known from henceforth as the Collegia Titanica, because we need the pseudo-Latin in there. Though subservient to their individual forge lords and ultimately Mars, they became a politically influential entity within the Imperium in their own right. So I guess you have the Collegia Titanica ranking each Titan Legion a militaris grade ranging from primaries to denarii, with the largest and most powerful possessing about 200 to 300 uh, god engines, because they gotta call them god engines, and the smallest barely able to master a dozen. So the mixture of Titan classes was another factor of rank, with few able to fill the colossal Imperator class. Most had significant numbers of Warhound Scout Titans, and the ubiquitous Warlord Battle Titan was the standard and most common class that made up the bulk of most Legio's main strength. So another callback to the old lore, where if you remember, the Warlord Titan was always the most common and standard chassis of the Titans. Other classes included the Reaver and the Warlock variants such as Nemesis and Nightgaunt are name dropped once again, which brings us full circle back to December 1988 box game. Really cool. They did add a few more, such as the Apocalypse, the Carnivore, the Komodo, which I don't think we have ever seen any models for them. Unfortunately, there's no Direwolf, Warbringer, Nemesis, or Warmaster Titan yet. Though Titans could operate individually, often in support of conventional ground units, they were more frequently deployed in formations of anything between 2 to 10, broken down into formal units known as Maniples that comprise between 3 to 5 god engines. And this is where we got the rules for the Adapters Titanicus. So that's why we have to call them Maniples, and that's why they usually range from 3 to 5 Titans. The most senior Titan commander is known as the Princeps Senioris, which is what we have as kind of pseudo warlord for the Adeptus Titanicus game, and is appointed leader of the Maniple. And I believe that the Princeps Maximus is the overall commander of an entire legion. So you have the Princeps Maximus at the very top, then under him would be the various Princeps Senioris, or whatever terminology they want to use for their ranks, depending on individual Titan legions. The Princeps controls the Titan via a mind impulse unit that merges his mind with the Titan's machine spirit. Assisting the Princeps is a specialist crew, particularly the Moderatii, whose responsibilities cover sensors, helm, and weapons. So basically, you got a guy who's looking at the sensors and basically radar and looking at the detecting enemy units or something. Then you have the guy at the helm who's basically driving the Titan like a car, and then you have the weapons guy who shoots for the Princeps. In addition, one or more tech priests supervise the God Engine's plasma reactor along with their servitor cadres. So yeah. Titan legions aren't just titans and their crews, but also include massive cohorts of Scutarii, which is a throwback to the old Codex Titanicus in 1989, and the Sucularis, who perform infantry work that the god engines can't. So Night Houses also march alongside the Titan legions, bridging the gap between infantry and Titan, engaging enemy vehicles and armor so that the Titans can focus on the heaviest enemy war machines, particularly enemy titans. So you like what was that? The Revenant Titan or the Mega Gargants, I guess. Even though back during the Great Crusade, we are fighting against Eldar and Orcs. So yeah. The Warbringer Nemesis Titan was then announced and released in 2020 alongside the Shadow and Iron Adeptus Titanicus campaign book. Sitting between the Reaver and Warlock classes, he's a dedicated fire support platform who destroys enemy targets from range. Apparently, he has thick frontal armor and defense batteries to protect him from aerial attacks, but his relatively light rear armor makes him vulnerable to flanking assaults from ground armor and knights. In the following year, 2021, well, I mean 2 years later, sorry, because this is wait, sorry, 20 yeah, correct. 2021 is the following year because this was 2020. In the following year, 2021, the Warmaster Heavy Battle Titan was announced and released alongside his Iconoclast, Iconoclast. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Counterpart mere months later. So as you can see, it looks familiar, right? Jazz Goodwin's design of an early Warlock Titan makes a return here, especially you look at the midriff, the abdomen. We call them the packs, six pack. So yeah, I mean it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's five pack, but you know. Anyway, the War Master Heavy Battle Titan was supposedly kept a secret by the Mechanicum until the later days of the Horus Heresy. The first rumors of his emergence dated from the death of innocents upon Mars. Legio Mortis unleashed their hidden stock of War Master Titans upon Loyalist forces during the schemes of Mars, annihilating them. Heavily armored, allowing him to withstand barrages of artillery and Titan-grade weaponry, he is equipped with suzerain plasma destructors capable of slaying super heavy tanks and Titans alike, as well as shoulder weapons that would normally be mounted upon a Warhound Scout Titan. The Iconoclast version swaps the plasma destructors for Desolator Chainsword and either a Kreis Sage Drill or Kreis Graviton Imploder. Developed by the more aggressive Titan legions, he serves as the vanguard and is specifically equipped to demolish fortresses prepared for siege warfare. Unlike the ranged original, the Iconoclast variant excels in close quarters combat. His reactor is modified with dedicated void shunts designed to weather firepower and kinetic transducers that utilize his movement to power his weapons, allowing him to engage the foe up close. So as you can see, each Ballmaster variant respectively graced the cover for the Loyalist Legios and Traitor Legios Adeptus Titanicus supplements that year in 2021. And now they're making a comeback in Legions Imperialis in 2023. Well, actually 2024 now, because I'm doing this video in 2024. But yeah, I think the Great Slaughter was also released in 2024 anyway, so not really 2023, but they had rules in the 2023 rulebook. It makes sense though because Legions Imperialis takes place at the same time as at the same scale, sorry, as Adeptus Titanicus, and they largely uses the same model. They retcon the War Master into having appeared at Titan Death as well, which is the Great Slaughterer, also known as the Great Slaughterer. Basically, the War Master Titans were running around Beta Common, which never happened back in 2019, 2018, 2019, when the Guy Haley and the Titan Death campaign book, Guy Haley's Titan Death novel and the Titan Death campaign book were released, simultaneously, not simultaneously, like within the 1 or 2 months of each other. So the War Master was never mentioned in either books. Yet, they show up in better garment now in the Great Slaughter in the Legions Imperialis. So it's a kind of a retcon. I can't say there's much lore. So though apparently 10 War Master Titans also showed up in the Seisha Terra belonging to Legio Mortis and bringing down the wall in the Mercury Exultant Killzone in John French Mortis. The Seisha Terra and the Mortis, basically. That novel was released in April 2021, a couple of months after War Master Titan was officially unveiled in on the Warhammer community website in the Warhammer preview. So, I guess John French was asked to squeeze a cameo for them into the lore somehow since he's writing a book on, Legio Mortis, or basically the Titans fighting in Seisha Terra. I think the famous notorious Diaz Imperator or something, Diaz Irae, sorry, Diaz Irae. I can't speak German. I'm sorry. which was the famous Legio Mortis Imperator Titan that basically broke the wall in the walls of the palace in Terra, in Holy Terra, and also appeared in Storm of Iron later to be destroyed. But yeah. One thing before we end the history of Titan Legions, the Secretari. Earlier, I mentioned the Scutari as the Imperial Guard-like regiments who served the Titan Legions and rode on rhinos and land raiders. Again, they were referenced in those black books, but then they were expanded with the Secretary Titan Guard in Horus Heresy Book 7 Inferno. Prior to that, it was usually the Skitarii who escorted the Titan Legions. As you can see, Dan Abnett's Titanicus, which was published in October 2008, which again, as I said, is part of the Sabbat Wars Crusade series, with Dash and all that. Legio Invicta and Legio Tempestus, I think this is the same Legio Tempestus from, Mechanicum, Graham Magnus Mechanicum. I think we also published around the same year, actually, now that I think about it. Mhm. And then one of the tried Ferrer Mogulus. They had their own Skitaria regiments that served as the infantry for their respective Titan legions. I think the law kind of developed from there, so it's not just because of their relation to Forge Worlds and the Adeptus Mechanicus or Mechanicum, but it became natural that the Skitaria are the infantry for the Mechanicum aligned Collegia Titanica. So when the Scutari was first conceived in 1989, the Skitarii were basically Tech Guard or Imperial Guard with cybernetics stationed to protect Forge Worlds. So this is like old lore where before the Skitarii, the Datus Mechanicus received their own codex and had their, I guess, unit range, model range expanded upon. So Skitarii, in the original before their codex in 2014, they were basically Imperial Guard with cybernetics. They were Imperial Guard, Forge World Station Imperial Guardsmen with augmatics and hotshot las guns or hell guns, because back then hotshot las guns were known as hell guns. So the whole radium carbines and galvanic rifles were more relatively recent development that came out with the release of the first Skitarii codex in 2015. So yeah, the way I guess it did. So basically back then in the 2008 novels, the way Skitarii worked was either they were Imperial Guardsmen with cybernetics, or the various authors would individualize them based on the force where they come from. So if I'm not mistaken, in Titanicus by Dan Abnett, the Skitarii were kind of augmented not only with cybernetics but also with combat drugs. So they can go into a frenzy and they were close combat monsters, which is kind of different from the, I guess, gunline type army, very shitty army that we see on the tabletop today. So they basically have a berserkers that charge right into the enemy lines and start hacking them away with I guess, cybernetic power swords or melee weapons that's grafted into their arms. So you can think of them as like Sicarian Rastalkers, basically. The Secretariat were also mentioned in the Horsian Wars novel by John French, Resurrection, basically. I think it's the first one, which was published in June 2017, 3 months after Inferno. So I guess John French, again, he really keeps up to date on all this. Either that or they inform him about them and ask him to include them in his novels. I'm not very sure, but yeah, John French does a lot of, I guess, inclusion of this new models into his novels. So yeah, War Master in Stage of Terror, Mortis, and Secretaria in the Horizon Wars Resurrection. Anyway, the Secretarii Titan Guard is a military formation developed in parallel with the Skitarii Legions on Mars, created as the honor guard and protectors of the Titan Legions. The Secretarii cover any vulnerabilities the Titans may have, such as close protection and defense from covert assault, infiltration, and ambuscade, or swarms of well-armed infantry at close range. They also sweep and clear the battlefield after Titan's tracks, pursuing and eradicating survivors of a Titan's onslaught. The Secretariat also serve as part of a more general auxiliary force that includes the Titan Autocratoris, Magos of the Cult Mechanicus, and Scutari Machine Labor Corps. Labor Corps, sorry, a Machine Labor Corps. So yeah, as I said, the Scutari are now the Scutari are still here, but now here they are called they're basically Machine Labor Corps, and the fighting cyborg men are the Secretari. Anyway, the Autocratoris, Magos, and the Scutari Machine Labor Corps attend to the maintenance, repair, rearming, and refueling of the Legio's Titans in the field. The Secretarii, on the other hand, defend the Titans' force landing fields and supply lines for assault, as well as defend damaged or disabled Titans from plunder and sabotage, and if necessary, retrieve or rescue any Titan crew who have to evacuate their god engines or are trapped in wreckage. Apparently, the Secretarii were first developed and deployed during the Age of Strife, but they were at their zenith during the Great Crusade. Each Titan Legion possessed its own attendant Secretarii regiments. Like the Secretarii undergoes extensive cybernetic rebuilding. The majority of their tissues and organs significantly augmented or replaced with circuit, bioplastic, and metal. Known as the Copper Secretarii, they spot the Kilpatrick's field generator, which is installed in the backpack and fully integrated in the Secretarii's ribcage and chest cavity. They are harmonic field generators that create atmospheric impedance barriers capable of deflecting projectiles. So basically, they impede atmospheric trails or something, trajectories, I guess, blast fragmentation, and similar debris. So greater field densities, the barriers amplified by merging an entire squad's Kilpatrick's field generator emanations can even protect them from heavy weapons fire and powerful kinetic waves. So basically, if you combine your Kilpatrick's field generator emanations, that means a whole squad of them, I guess, stand close together and combine their barriers, their invulnerable saves, it can protect them from even heavier firepower, basically. Tactical command of Secretariat forces is usually delegated to a field officer known as an Asiak. Um, he displays perfect dedication and application of the Secretariat's arts of war and must have experience in successfully recovering fallen titans or rescuing titan crews. He is also more cybernetically augmented than his peers. So yeah. So you have the Secretariat Peltas, who attack from range, hunting ambushes and shadowy raiders. Using powerful and adaptable weapons rarely seen in the Imperium's arsenal elsewhere, they utilize concentrated firepower to saturate target areas and neutralize any threat that may be concealed in cover, and to root out enemies too small or too dispersed for the god engines of the Titan legions to pay attention to. They are also employed to reach, encircle, and defend their master's fallen titans and rescue valuable crew. They serve as a hammer. In contrast, the Secretariat hoplites phalanx serve as the anvil where the swarms of infantry targeting Titans break apart. Their defensive force augmented and equipped specifically to resist infantry assault, protected by crackling energy barriers generated by their interlocking cryopatries field generators that are channeled and further amplified by their mag inverter shields. This allows them to withstand phenomenal amounts of enemy firepower. The arc lancers bathe the battlefield in murderous torrents of artificial lightning that can shut out the circuits of vehicles, basically haywire. Now it's a disruption. They kind of nerfed them. So yeah, air or blast flows into burning ruin at close quarters, and they escort the god engines in dispersed commissioning lines or densely packed ranks. And yeah, and they can ride in the trios conveyor, I guess. That's their dedicated transports. That's all I have for the history lesson on Titan Legions. I'm probably missing quite a few details, like I guess the Imperator Titan. I don't know what else to say on Imperator Titan other than it has a bunch of it has a cyclonic melta lance, it has a plasma annihilator, and its feet are basically ramparts, fortifications where you can house garrisons of infantry. Yeah, so that's the Imperator Titan. I think I know there are a couple of novels on it. I think what was it? Uh Imperator Titan, the Wrath of the Omnissiah or something like that. And then you have War Master Fury of the God of the Machine God. So these are like novels that's written by David Annadale, I believe, and Gabe Thorpe, respectively, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty cool stuff. I think one of them had Castellan robots guarding inside the chassis, which is pretty cool. So and then Skitarii basically garrisoning the lake for lake the lakes of the Imperator. I believe the Imperator Titan, or if you played him in Epic, he could actually serve as a dedicated, not dedicated transport, but he's basically a transport. So you can put units inside him, and then he marches across the field. You get them to disembark and fight other units. It's pretty cool. I think that's all I have for the Imperator Titan. I'm not very sure what other stuff there is to say about them. But yeah, I guess that's all. So I hope you enjoyed this retrospective series. I might do I don't know whether this is the last one or not. I might do one of the Fairweather Keep because some people might want to hear about knights, more knights, and I'm a knight guy. So yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.